But first, WA Premier Mark McGowan may receive 70 cents in the dollar in GST revenue, but he should really be asking for royalties from the National Liberal Party, given it's becoming increasingly apparent that Scott Morrison is using WA Labor's super successful state election campaign for his next run for the top job. It makes complete electoral sense for the PM to copy McGowan's homework after his strong stance on things like borders won him a landslide election in WA back in March. But no matter how our federal pollies care to spin it, it is on. We are in the midst of an election campaign whether we like it or not, and the main policy is now keeping COVID out of Australia and reinforcing the ways Morrison and his government keep us and our economy safe from the dreaded WuFlu. You're dying for a Bali holiday? Well, good luck. We may get a taste of Bintang, probably not at least until mid-next year, as the government keep telling us. Our international borders are being sealed shut, so tight that not even expat Aussies can come home. And with the vaccination program being rolled out at a snail's pace, it's probably going to underpin their entire election messaging and possible success. Last week's news poll results show that 73% of respondents are okay with our international borders remaining closed for the long term. Out and about in Queensland, a battleground state in nearly every federal campaign, he was asked to rule out an election this year.
I've said constantly, the election's due next year. Thanks very much.
Politicians, no matter how popular they are not magicians. The only magic trick they have is turning vague into a verb, or in McGowan's case, closing the borders. Morrison has saved cash on a Liberal campaign strategy and is going all in on McGowan's. Rebuild and recover was the theme of the budget a couple of weeks ago, which is usually a document that underpins financial and policy, which underwrites a sitting government's election platform. But instead, it seems fear is going to fuel his next race for the top job. Just 9 months ago, he was saying that the elimination of COVID was impractical and that we shouldn't let the virus dictate our lives.
And making sure that we live alongside the virus and not have the virus dictate how we live.
The virus wasn't the right strategy for Australia. Now the line is all about safety. Instead of spruiking the socially progressive budget, the PM and his colleagues have been busier reminding us that the hard international border will remain closed until it is safe. What they have failed to do, though, is define exactly what safe looks like. This week, when talking about the vaccines, he tiptoed around the issue, remaining cautious that some are not yet comfortable with the science, which has been fully approved from our strict TGA. Last month, Morrison told News Corp papers, "We don't as of yet have considerable clinical evidence that tells us transmission is preventable. Now we're seeing crackpots going as far as banning customers from hairdressing salons if they've been vaccinated against COVID-19, like one woman did in Queensland this week because of her concerns the vaccine could be transmitted to unvaccinated people."
I speak directly with women day in, day out, and I'm hearing a lot of different responses in regards to this, and it was really concerning to me. And so for the health and safety of myself, my staff, and especially the women that come in to see me, I felt it necessary to make this a stand for what I believe in and what I stand for.
In places like the US and UK, where case numbers are still comparably high compared to Aussie infection rates, receiving the 2 COVID jabs allows its citizens to return to their offices, take off their masks in public, travel and see their loved ones. Living, remember how good that was. This week on national TV over in the US, Anthony Fauci, Sleepy Joe's top medical advisor, said that effectively vaccines stop the virus in its tracks.
You contribute to the community health by preventing the spread of the virus throughout the community. In other words, you become a dead end to the virus. And when there are a lot of dead ends around, the virus is not going to go anywhere.
In 2019, just a little bit over 4,000 people died from the flu, according to statistics compiled by the Australian Bureau of Statistics. Everyone I know usually rolls up their sleeve every year for the annual flu jab, following a big federally funded advertising campaign. COVID has, albeit tragically, claimed 910 lives in Australia so far. The government are, of course, not trying to push an anti-vaxxer agenda, but their lack of enthusiasm and encouragement for a program that will prevent the spread of COVID appears to be their core election strategy. For all the talk of keeping us safe and providing Aussies with job security, what they also want to ensure is their own job security. The slow and steady approach worked for McGowan a couple of months ago, and Morrison, it seems, is following suit.